If you're new here, you don't yet know that I grow over 1,000 pounds of food on this property, along with all the food that I hunt, fish, and forage from the wild. So this is really, really important step in my entire year. You wouldn't believe this tiny little bit of surface area, this tiny amount of space, how much food this is going to blow up to in the garden. My strategy, as you see, is actually just overseeding a little and then thinning out anything that I don't want. And it gives me a chance to see which ones are doing the best, the strongest like genetic stock. And then I just cull off the weak ones and so be it. The hundreds and hundreds of seeds that are in there, I'm just gonna start letting them drop. So you see this cellophane cling wrap stuff. This is a great little germination hack. The general rule of thumb, if you don't know, is a small seed goes shallow and a big seed goes deeper. Get everything organized before you even start. You'll save yourself a ton of time and hassle. And efficiency is half the ball game when you're growing as much food as I do in this giant garden, and you're about to see how that all starts out in the grow room. Now, I am getting at this super late. It's March 1st right now, for reference. I normally start my peppers, onions, celery, long brassicas, and a bunch of other stuff, woody herbs, etc. sometime in February, and I've just been so busy with fishing and writing for the magazine and a whole bunch of other projects that I haven't gotten to it. So it's like last call for these. I gotta get these seeds into some soil and get them sprouting. And look at these beautiful homegrown onion seeds. This is the culmination of a 3-year project. I planted a bunch of these last year. It's actually a little bit late to be starting onions, but I'm going for it anyway. I'm gonna figure out some way to pump them up organically and just see if I can't get them going. But all these onion seeds are going into these specialized trays that I made. If you're on my Instagram, you saw this project last year. I'll show you that in a little more detail in a minute, but I've got trays ready for brassicas, peppers, woody herbs, and that's about it for now. But first, just before I get going, I want to show you all these home-saved pepper seeds. These are a ton of different varieties that I grew, saved seed from, just like, check out this little bad boy right here. Beautiful. And these are going into the soil. And here's what happens when you start to do this year over year. These orange coral peppers that are going in right now have been grown in my garden from store-bought seed, but now this is the 3rd year I'm growing this variety. Over time, I've been selecting the biggest, best, baddest, juiciest peppers, saving the seeds, and these seeds are getting acclimatized to my conditions. They're getting acclimatized to my soil, my way of doing things, etc., and they're only gonna get better year over year over time with this process. So I'm super excited with all these home-saved seeds and all these different varieties that I'll show you in a second to start getting them germinated and keep that process going of improving the plants that I'm growing and improving their nutritional value and their acclimatization to my garden. And why don't I just show you some of the varieties that I'm growing. So these are hot Hungarian wax seeds that I saved, not from last year's garden, but from the year before, marked yellow, okay? These are lipstick peppers. Now I've got a ton of lipsticks somewhere else here in right there. That's from last year's garden. These are probably from the year before. I might mix those up. They were originally store-bought from Galert Garden Farms. They're a local purveyor of seeds, and they do an amazing job of preserving these heirloom varieties that are actually really hard to find. So I've been growing this particular variety now for, I think, 4 or 5 years, and even in this little package here, they're all home-safe seeds, and they're just getting better every year. The peppers are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, and they're getting tastier. I've got some orange coral peppers that I've been growing for a few years now. There's some home-safe seed right there. These are some of my favorite peppers that I grow throughout the year. These are called giant Marconi peppers. They're big, giant. They're somewhere between like a long pepper and a bell pepper, and you can see all those beautiful seeds in there. I'll be growing a ton of these. They're huge. I love them in my salsas. I love them fresh. I love them roasted. This guy here is actually a purple variety. I think it's called Purple Beauty, and I just started growing it last year. This is only my 2nd round of Purple Beauties, but looking forward to getting some of those up. Okay, I've got some Cubanelle frying peppers here from last year's garden. I've got some hot banana peppers from last year's garden. I've got some poblano peppers from this year's garden, not in this package. It's another one, I have to look for it. But anyway, I love poblano peppers. They've got just the right amount of heat built in, but it's kind of like if you're not familiar with it, it's a Mexican pepper and it's a big green, sort of emerald green bell pepper style pepper. Little longer, little funnier shaped, but a delicious pepper, and it's got a little heat built in. I'll be doing some serranos in my little Mexico portion of the garden, along with these jalapenos, jalapenos. That's from, all these are from this year's garden. I grew so many jalapenos this year. I've got these shishitos. These are Japanese pepper. Very delicious little frying pepper, great for fresh eating too. I'll be growing some of those. There's some maybe purple beauties from the original package that I bought them in, but I always put my home save seeds in there. And then I've got a few varieties back here that I have to go through. And the next project after peppers, and some other ones I haven't showed you yet, are these onions, man. This is a variety that I can't remember off the top of my head. It is a it's Red Zeppelin is the name of these. Like, tell me that's not a dope name for an onion, man. Red Zeppelin, it's a red onion. And I've been growing these for, I think this is going to be the 4th year, and this is only the 2nd year I can use these home save seeds. You can see I made so many seeds. I have lots left from last year, but I'm going to have to overseed these a bit. There's a whole year that they've been sitting dry, and as you may or may not know, germination rates do drop with time, so I'm going to probably double up seeding these just to make sure that I get a bunch to pop, but I'm putting these into the soil right now, and like I said, I'm actually really late. I should have started these like a month ago, but I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna give it the old college try, and then it's time for some early brassicas. I don't have them all out yet, but I'll be putting some pak choy in. I like to plant these early in the season. These are a great trap crop for flea beetles. I have a flea beetle problem in my garden, and they love these things. All these sort of like Chinese greens really attract them, so I love getting up a whole big bed of pak choy early in the season to draw those flea beetles away from my little baby plants. My other brassicas, they'll go for these first, and then I'll succession plant around these because I love eating pak choy too. But usually I've got most of the flea beetles taken care of with round 1. I'm going to be putting in some broccoli, some cauliflower. I'm going to put in some purple sprouting broccoli, which I don't have out, and a whole bunch of other stuff right now. Maybe I'll drop in some pictures of those just to show you how good they all did in the garden. Again, all from home save seed. But wait, I almost forgot to show you these beautiful pepper seeds that I'm going to be doing from peppermerchant.net. Check these guys out. I want to send a huge thanks and shout out to peppermerchant.net for sending these to me. And they are a specialist in the hots and super hots and rare peppers. Some really weird and wonderful peppers. Let me zoom in on these and show you the ones that I picked. They asked me, they were like, just go check out our site, pick anything you want, pick a few varieties, and we'll send them to you. These are the ones I picked. Let me zoom in and show you because they're really, really cool. So check out these ones first. This is a white-leaved pepper. This is purple cacho white leaf pepper. Really, really interesting. Can't wait to get those up. I've never grown a pepper with white leaves. Really interesting looking peppers. I've got these Brian's Blood peppers. I'm going to drop in a picture off their site of the Brian's Blood because it's a really beautiful pepper and a very flavorful pepper apparently. And then I'm growing one chili from them. Now again, I want to just mention again, these guys are all about the crazy super hot peppers, which is not exactly my jam. I like some of those, but not all of them. But this particular chili here is called the Yagul chili, a very pretty chili. I would call this like sort of in the medium range of heat for chili peppers. I'm going to be getting some of those going ASAP. But let me drop you in a link. I'll put a link in the description to peppermerchant.net. Check out their stuff. Thanks again, guys, for sending me these. And I can't wait to show you these in the garden. But first, I got to get them in some soil and get them to pop. And just before I start planting, I want to show you that I got my heat mat already set up. This one has a thermostat. It's a new one I just bought. I'm setting this to 85 degrees for the peppers specifically. They like really warm soil and they'll germinate faster. And since I'm late, I might even jack it up a little from there, but let's see how 85 does. And I've got my trusty chopstick. I really like using chopsticks and little pens and stuff on which I can mark some planting depths. I hope that's in focus for you. I've got 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 inch marked, and you never want to plant a pepper specifically much more than 1/4 inch. So I'll be using this as a guidepost and push them down with and to put soil back up over those little seeds, etc. But this is just a great little hack. You take a serrated kitchen knife, like a steak knife, mark those depths in, and then it's with you the whole way along as you're planting out your tray. All right, not but a few minutes later, you can see I've already got the tags written for each and every one of them. I don't know if these purple ones were a good idea. They're a little difficult to read, but I'm kind of color coding them. I do this every year by like the type. So these are like the sweeter frying and bell peppers in purple, and then the hot peppers are in this, or hot-ish peppers, jalapenos, poblanos, yagul, these hot Hungarian wax peppers, and many more to come are going to be orange, etc. I've got the soil prepped. I've got the seeds kind of laid out where I want them with their tags, and organization is really, really key when you're starting seeds. If you're a new gardener and you're starting seeds for the first time, get everything organized before you even start. You'll save yourself a ton of time and hassle, and it'll all go a lot smoother. So you can see each and every one is sort of placed, ready to rock and roll. And I want to just draw your attention to this. You see this little bowl here? Well, these are all bits of organic matter in that soil that might hold a seed down if I were to leave it in the soil, right? You don't want those little nascent plants when they're popping up getting held down by anything big like that. Now, normally I sift and strain out my potting soil, my seed starting soil, but I didn't have time, and I've done it this way many times before. I'm just gonna, as I go along on the surface of it, it doesn't matter once the roots start and the seed pops, it'll find its way around, you know, little bits like that. But for now, anything that's like in that top 1/4 inch that might hold them down is gonna get pulled out into there. Trusty chopstick at the ready. Let's freaking go, man. All right, I'm excited. Starting off with these poblanos. And actually, I have some poblanos from this year's garden as well that I have to go and grab. They're actually not in this bag, but I've got some from last year's garden as well. And they ought to be in really good shape and still perfectly viable from last year. Okay, I'm going to... How I do peppers generally is 2 per cell like this, and then I'll divide those later. Okay, I'm going to start a tray of them here, and I'll probably do another tray of backup ones from my last year's garden. These seeds are, I don't know, 18 months old, let's say. And this is how I tend to do it with these. Just a quick note also on pepper seeds. You can soak these for a few hours before you put them into the trays. It's totally unnecessary. I'm not doing it now. If your soil is pre-moistened, the way mine is, you don't need to do that, and you don't need to do it at all. But it does speed it up a little bit. You might, you know, save yourself a day or two. I maybe should have. I just didn't have time. And you know what I just decided with these poblanos? Since these seeds are a little bit older, they're not super duper fresh right out of last year's garden. I got to go find those other ones, and I'll do a whole nother tray. I eat a ton of poblanos and grow a ton of them. I'm going to stick an extra one in each cell, and again, I'll show you this later on in the process, but these guys will all get split out. I'll split those little baby plants out, and you know, once I pot them up, and if I want this many, great. If I don't want that many, again, I'll show you this in a later video, so stay tuned and subscribe. You know, I can always just chop them off and let the best, healthiest ones have these cells. Now, guys, I'm not going to show you every single pepper that I planted here, but I do want to show you my trusty chopstick that's pre-marked, as I mentioned, with an 1/8 inch and a 1/4 inch. Okay, can you guys see that? See those 2 nice little notches? I'm not going deeper than that one right there. And I'm not going to show you every single one. I just don't have time. I'll put a time lapse on or something, but I'm pushing that down to roughly that 1/4 inch. And look, see, here's a piece that would hold down that seed. You see that piece of organic matter? Bad news, man. That guy's gone. And now I just saved this little guy a whole bunch of trouble getting up. Okay, we'll throw that guy down. And I'm just pushing him down that 1/4 inch or less. 1/8 inch is actually just fine for a pepper. But 1/4 is like, you know, what you're going to see in most recommendations. And that's fine. I'll kind of try and space them out a little bit so I can pull them apart easy later. And now I'm just going to cover those over. Is that a piece of something I don't want? No, yeah, you know what? I don't trust it. Don't trust it, man. So now I'm just going to cover all those over again with my trusted chopstick, man. Am I right? And we're growing peppers, man. Quick last note, even these little pieces of perlite or vermiculite can hold down a seed. If you get a big one like that, either break it up, and they're pretty easy to break up, I'll show you. Just smash that up, you can drop that back in, that won't hold down a seed, or just pull it right out like you see over here. There's some bigger ones. Like, pull those out, man. Don't let that sit in there, because that will wreck your germination rate. So I just smash them up usually like that. I don't want to waste it. And these are really important for keeping the right amount of moisture in your soil. You want a certain amount of it. I make my own soil blends a lot of times. I didn't have time this year. I just bought a potting mix. I don't even buy seed starting mix. In my opinion, it's not really worth it. Just a good quality organic potting mix. If I think of it, I'll drop in a picture of the brand that I use. Nothing specific. You don't have to be too picky about it. Just make sure they're getting adequate water. And, with a plant variety like this, like peppers, make sure that they have the heat that they need to pop up. But let's move on. Moving on to jalapenos here, and check that out. They're literally not even off the stem of the plant yet, so I got to break those up. And don't do this over the tray, guys. If you are saving seeds at home and doing it in this method, don't put your hand over the tray while you're doing that. You want to be really organized and make sure that you get the right seeds in the right tray with the right label, right? So anyway, those are ready to go. And let me just check them out and make sure that they go the right way up. I'm going to put probably just a couple per cell, because these are from this year's garden and these are going to be super duper mega fresh. You know what? Like I said, I can always cull them off. I'll do a couple extras. What the hell? Who's counting? I am. Those go back in there. Okay. Safe and sound. I might even do another tray of these. I eat a ton of fresh jalapenos. I dry a ton of jalapenos. I make oil out of jalapenos. Stay tuned. All that stuff coming up at harvest time. But for now, we'll push those out of each other's way. Okay, and I can split them easy later. I might even, there's no rules to this. You can just cover them over as you go. I tend to sort of leave the holes open so I know I've done each cell. But if you cover them over as you go, that's cool. Look, there's a piece of wood I don't want. No, too big. That guy looks just nice. This guy's cool. Okay, we're going to cover those over with our little chopstick. There's a tray of jalapenos. What's that? What's 3 times 4, guys? Yeah, it's 12, So there's 12 plants right there, potentially, that I could pot up, okay? And I'm just going to leave that for now. Those are super fresh seeds from this year's garden. They ought to be, pretty close to 100% germination. And this is also a variety of jalapeno. It's just like your standard garden variety jalapeno that you could find anywhere. But I've been growing it in my garden 4 years, and they do really, really good in there. Moving on to these hot Hungarian wax peppers. Well, I just put way too many in my hand, but that's okay. I'm going to pull that little piece out, or smash up that vermiculite, okay? And you can see I've done half trays for these. Like, I don't need a ton of this particular variety. I don't think I want to grow a million Valgul or Yagul chili peppers either. So, like, a half cell is enough, because I'm going to put 2 in each one. That's going to be 4 plants minimum, maybe 6. That's going to be 4 plants, maybe 6 as well. Let me just get some of those nice looking ones in there. Okay, look at that. We'll do 3 per cell, like champions. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's good enough for the Hungarian waxes. Okay, there's a quarter-ish. And you don't have to be super precise. We're not pulling out the old tape measure here exactly, guys. They'll go. Just make sure they're not too deep. With the general rule of thumb, if you don't know, is a small seed goes shallow and a big seed goes deeper. Okay, and there's varying depths for all those. I'll get into all that as we go along here, or maybe in another video. Maybe I'll do a video all about planting depths, etc. But just this year, I don't have time. Look, there's a piece of wood. I don't have time to film and make that kind of content. There's going to be a ton of gardening content on this channel, so stay tuned all season long, right out into the fall. But this part of it, the grow room stuff, until I start getting a break on ice fishing and some other projects I got going, I just can't make crazy tons of content for that. But tell you what, once ice fishing season is over, we're garden, bro. We're garden and turkey hunting for the spring, and then summer's like garden and foraging. So if you're new here, subscribe, stay tuned, and there will be a ton of that kind of content coming down the pipe. Now I'm getting real excited about these little Yagul chilies, man, from peppermerchant.net. So let me get a few of those out. Again, I'm going to put them in my hand here, away from the tray, because I have made this mistake before, and then you get a whole bunch popping up and you don't know what the hell they are. Look at that. I don't think I even need all those, but I got a couple back. This guy looks lovely. There's a piece of wood there I don't like. We'll pull that guy. This little dude right here. And I'll tell you what, just to be sure that we get lots of these, I am going to put an extra in each cell, as I'm prone to doing. And now the rest can go back in there. And quick tip, speaking of tips, always clean that up. Sometimes seeds will stick to your chopstick or whatever it is that you're using to push them in. And I like to always check and make sure that's clean. That's nice and clean. We're good to go. And I don't like this piece of wood right here. You see I'm cleaning out the top. See this guy there? That might hold her down. Jawohl, number 1. Jawohl. Number 2, right here. Okay. Oh, and there's a huge chunk here. Look at that. I can't even push it down. This is the danger zone. This is the serious danger zone. Look at the size of that freaking chunk of wood in there, or organic matter. I don't know exactly what it is, and a piece just fell off. That'd hold a seed right down, and we don't want that whatsoever, my friend. And those little buddies are off to the races. I think we're rocking here, dude. These are looking good. Beautiful. And now I'm about to throw you into the dreaded time lapse, guys. If I film every single tiny little seed as I go along, I'm going to be here all night. And I'm up in the morning at 6:30 a.m. out the door ice fishing. And isn't it weird, just as a thought, to think that tonight, overnight, we've got minus 25 Celsius. There's 15 inches of ice on all the lakes. It's snowing like crazy. I'm having trouble keeping this room at the temperature I need to. It's so damn cold outside. And here I am planting beautiful peppers that are going to flourish in the heat of the summer. I just love that. I love actually like just getting my hands dirty already, even though it's like freaking freezing outside. But the point is, I'm throwing you into the time lapse. I'm going to get this, at least this tray done tonight. And then I got to get up early in the morning. So enjoy this time lapse. And here we go. And there you have it, tray number 1 of peppers done. I'm going to put a lid on it. I'm going to put it on the heat mat, and we're good to go. That heat mat is riding sweet at 85 degrees. There they go. Where's my lid, little buddy? There's one. Let's see if these shallow lids are going to fit over those popsicle stick things. Those are new, by the way. I normally use crappy plastic ones, but I'm trying to get away from plastic. And I'd like that to sit down a little further. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try a taller tray. You want the light real close once they start to pop to really hold them down and make them develop roots, etc. And so that they don't get leggy and pop up. But at this stage, while they are germinating, it really doesn't matter. So give me 1 second. Look, I've got these giant freaking Mondos that hopefully, yeah, those are going to fit over much better. And then I'll sort of start thinking about that problem once they go. Maybe I'll push those sticks down more. But that'll hold all the moisture in that I need. And the heat mat's doing its job. Yeah, here's a wider look at that giant dome top. You don't want this when they first pop. You want those lights nice and close. And I'll actually move these down to my LED rig on the bottom. I've got some really, really nice LED grow lights down here. But these are just fluorescents. They give some heat and some light. Peppers don't really require light to germinate as far as I know. But anyway, that big long dome is really just there to keep moisture in and to keep the heat in, and that'll do that just fine while they're germinating. And let's just have a real quick look at all the stuff I pulled out of that potting soil. There were some big chunks, man. A lot of that would be a lost plant, right? Like right there, lost plant. Right there, lost plant. It'll try to germinate, it'll try it, but it won't push it up necessarily. Now, plants are pretty strong. A lot of times they will push that up, but why take the risk? It takes a few seconds just to pull that bigger stuff out, and some of these big long woody bits that might get tangled or mess them up, pull those out. And now we're talking onions, and it might be too late for onions. So these, guess what these things are? I was looking for a replacement for big plastic trays. The big plastic trays, if you go back to my Instagram and have a look, I looked at some of the ones that were available in my local hardware store, because with onions, you don't need individual cells. The roots are really tough. They're super tough little plants. You can just grow them like that and then tease them apart, pull them apart later. Again, go to my Instagram. I've got just years of like onion growing tips for all these vegetables that you're going to see in the grow room. I've got years and years of content on my Instagram. Just snoop around in there and you'll see lots of different growing methods. But the long story short is onions don't need to be grown in little individual cells. You can pull them apart later and you're much more efficient with your space. So I grabbed these. These are like aluminum, which is like, boo, not good, but they're the cheapest things out there. I think they were 79 cents each. These are aluminum turkey pans, and I've got one on the bottom to hold the water in. This one here's got a bunch of holes drilled into the bottom for drainage, so I can still bottom water, etc. Under there, that pre-moistened soil is ready to go, and now I'm going to literally do a whole tray of those red Zeppelins. Again, I'm putting you on the time lapse. It's getting late. I got to get up early, but wait till you see how easy this is. It could not be easier to start apart and grow onions, man, and then pull them apart later. And just before I throw on the time lapse, let's have a last look at those beautiful onion seeds. There's so many in there, man, like hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 of them or more. And I'll just show you real quick. I'll just pull one apart. You see, this was a beautiful flower. Onion flowers in the garden are some of the prettiest things you can grow in a garden if you ever want to take the time to, like, they're biennial, right? Like they only make a flower in the second year. So you got to put space aside in your garden to grow onions the first year, then let them overwinter. In the second year, they'll throw up a stalk and make a beautiful flower. And that flower, once it is done its life cycle, will be full of little onion seeds just like that. Look at them all. There's millions of them in there. Well, I'm exaggerating. Probably thousands, literally. And boom, those are going right in. And look how easy this is going to be. You know what? I don't even have to do this on the time lapse. We're going to go nature style. Look at this giant freaking beautiful onion flower just packed full of seeds. I don't know if you can see in there with the light because the light's kind of crappy in here. The hundreds and hundreds of seeds that are in there. I'm just going to start letting them drop into that soil and I'll start pushing them down in a minute. But they're all the same variety, so I kind of don't care. Right now, I am putting hundreds of onion seeds into this soil, all up in it, and I don't want them all from one flower. Let's hedge our bets. Okay, there's another little flower right there. Okay, we'll just get them all sort of interspersed. Again, all the same variety, but I don't want to take them all from the same flower, and they all look pretty good. And I'm gonna put these all up in here, and wait till you see the results. If these take, and they really should, they're pretty fresh. They're only from last year's garden. Just how many onions are gonna pop up in these trays, man. So there's my red Zeps. Woo! You won't be able to see this too good, but I've got a whole other tray of pre-moistened soil here for another tray of onions. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna put my paw right in that, okay, like this, and I'm gonna guesstimate a 1/2 inch of soil right on top, okay, and that'll do it. Trust me. These things in nature just fall on top of the soil, and it takes, you know, sometimes a year or two, you know, for them to actually, you know, get deep enough into the soil or for something to come on top, organic matter, etc., to cover them over. So right now, I'm just going hog freaking wild with the number of seeds in there. Let's put those about a 1/2 inch down, and I'm really guesstimating here. I'm gonna pull some of the bigger stuff off the top, although onions are really hardy. They'll push through freaking concrete, dude. Most seeds will. But I'm just gonna sort of roughly guesstimate a 1/2 inch here. And we're gonna call that tray done. I'm gonna do the other tray tomorrow now that I think of it. It's getting late anyway. I gotta be out the door at 6:30. And that sucks. And we got a good bunch done. I got another tray of peppers, which I'll probably do off camera because now I've shown you how to do those. And then tell you what, I'll drop back in tomorrow evening when I get home from fishing, and we'll start doing some celery, and we'll start doing some of those longer brassicas, some flowers. I want to get some rosemary going. I want to get some other woody herbs. Now's a good time to start cilantro. Even though it comes up pretty quick, you got to put it in early. And I'm not growing any this year, but I should let you know. It's getting really, really late. Like now, this time, you know, sort of like late February, early March would be like right cutoff for, say, asparagus, which take forever, etc. But I'm not doing any of those this year. But just before I pack it in, I want to show you a really good hack. So you see this cellophane cling wrap stuff. If you have a container and you're doing any kind of like rogue guerrilla gardening experiments like this, and this is not an experiment, I grew amazing onions out of these exact trays, but I don't have a lid that fits it good, right? So here's like a really good little hack. When you've got like a weird shaped thing, a little bit of that goes a long way. Okay, that's about the size I want. And then I'm just gonna keep the moisture in this and a little bit of heat in that soil. While they're germinating, okay? So did I do it long enough? Hold on, bear with me. We're winging it here. Let's just get that to cling. This is like some shit cling wrap, bro. Hold on, let me get the other one on. I'm gonna do it all at once. Hold on, we're doing this in real time, man. This is the real world, man. This is what we're doing. We're making a lid for this crazy onion contraption that I devised here, which does work real good, but I did this last year and they came up gangbusters, man. So let's hopefully we get the same results. This is a slightly different crop. These are new seeds. They should go really, really good. And it's not clinging at all, man. I can't pull it
But anyway, that's good enough. Like, it doesn't have to be super tight. It's better if, like, at least the sides are kind of, like, on there, you know? Anyway, I'll fix that off camera. This little bit's getting long here, but you get the idea. I'm going to pull that over. I'm going to make sure that moisture is staying in there while they germinate. And once I start to see them pop under there, that thing can come off and I can, you know, put something higher. But generally, onions are pretty good. Like, they do need moisture like any other seedling. But once they pop, like once those seeds germinate, you can kind of keep an eye on it. I'll be in here every day. I can water them when they need it, and I don't really need a perfect top. But this is a great little germination hack.
And hey, that's not bad whatsoever for like an hour's work. And if you're a new gardener or if you're watching out of curiosity, you wouldn't believe this tiny little bit of surface area, this tiny amount of space, how much food this is going to blow up to in the garden. That's, oh, what is it? So it's 36 cells with multiple sown plants in each one. That's potentially 100 peppers right there. You know how much garden space that is? You know how much food that is? It's really, really satisfying just to think about blowing up that whole tray, potting it up and getting it into the soil. I'm stoked. All right, folks, well, it's the next night, and that's how these videos are going to go, I think, in the grow room, is I'm going to have to pick away at it when I can. I'll film for you when I can, and you can see I'm already starting to multi-seed a whole bunch of celery. This is one called Tall Utah, or Utah Tall, I can't remember. And then this one here is my new fave, the pink plume celery, which I just started seeding, and then I was like, hey, I better film this for the folks because celery really needs to get started early as well. It's minimum 100 days till you could harvest a celery, and they take forever to grow. So 1 second, I'm going to just show you how I'm doing this particular little batch of celery. Yeah, so honestly, I don't know if this is the recommended way of doing celery or not. I've been doing it this way for so long, I've honestly forgotten, but how I like to do it is to multi-sow them. I just pull them apart and I overseed them a little bit. So don't be afraid to put like a whole bunch of these tiny little seeds. Some of them won't germinate, etc. Like literally putting almost, I don't know, 15, 20 per cell. And if I end up with, you know, 5 or 10 each, I'd be a happy guy. And then celery likes about 1/8 of an inch. You're going to roughly sort of just poke it down. What I do is just like sort of roughly punch a bunch of holes in the whole thing like that. Okay, get a few down in there and you'll get some late stragglers because of that, because you're not being accurate. Okay, but that's okay. You know, some will fail and then you'll get new ones coming up, and that's cool. And then I just sort of rough it up and press them down. Like that's really all it takes to get celery up. It does take a long time to germinate, and it takes an even longer time to grow. So, yeah, you know, I'm just making sure some of that is covered over. I've taken all the top big woody bits off of this particular batch of trays. You see all that kind of stuff? Anything like that or bigger, like or a big piece of wood like this, that'll hold a little tiny celery seed down, or a bunch of them all day. Get all that stuff out, and then I'm just pressing them down, and that's all it is, man. And look, the pre-moistened soil, I want you to see where my finger is. See all that water underneath? Huh? That's a good thing. Celery is a bog plant, man. I actually put a little extra in my celery trays just to make sure that they have lots of water, because they like it not only in germination, but all the way throughout their life cycle. They need a lot of water. So boom, there's 2. I'm going to make sure there's no little celery seeds on the end because they do stick to things. Okay, I'm going to do that away from the tray. And then I'm going to get my Tall Utahs, which I haven't pressed in yet. So let's have a look at these little bad boys. And again, same thing. I'm just sort of roughing it up. I'm pushing some down, etc. Okay. Oh, and look, there's a big piece I missed. I don't like you at all, buddy. See you later, alligator. Now these guys go down. And I want you to notice as I'm, you know, just sort of pushing this soil down after having roughed it up, those little seeds start to disappear, and it's not much of a fuss. Again, hardy roots, they do really well when you pull them apart, and I've been doing it this way for years. Boom, there's a little piece I don't want right there. Done. It's like a year's worth of celery right there. 2 trays. Next, I got these Walla onions that I have very few seeds left for, but I'm going to do a little tray of those because they did really good in the garden, and I actually forgot to order these. So again, another multi-sow. I'm going to put a whole bunch of onion seeds all up in there. Oh, I might even get 2 little trays worth. You know what? It's not worth it. They're so easy to pull apart after. And those have to go down about 1/4 inch, as you might remember from yesterday, which is the same video for you. I'm going to space those out a little bit with my chopstick. Okay. Just make sure that they've all got a little room. And there's a little piece of wood there I don't like. That's out. These guys got to get distribué. Distribué, mon ami. Mais oui. All right. I'm going to just kind of push them out.
and then I'm going to start pushing them down. I just wanted to make sure that they were, this time I'm actually being a little more accurate. I'm targeting little individual seeds, and then, I'll throw a little soil on top, pre-moistened, of course. And then I'll have a few Walla Wallas. Like, I might as well grow them. I got a few seeds left. They're still fresh or fresh enough just from last year. Onion seeds tend to keep really good, I have found over the years. They don't really sort of drop in germination rate the way a lot of other seeds do, which is kind of awesome. And I'm just looking at them, pecking them like a little bird, poking each one in. Okay. And then I'm going to cover that over. I'm just going to steal a little bit of soil from another tray here off camera and just put a little extra on top, and those will all go, trust me. Those will go just fine. I mean, you're going to read a lot of things on the internet and see a lot of videos saying this, that, and the other, and you have to do it a certain way. I don't subscribe to that. I've tried like every way under the sun to do a bunch of different types of grow room tasks and germination, etc. And everything I'm showing you today just comes from years of experience of doing it. So I'm not overly arsed with being like super exact about seed depth and super exact about this, that, and the other. My strategy, as you see, is actually just overseeding a little and then thinning out anything that I don't want. And it gives me a chance to see which ones are doing the best, the strongest like genetic stock. And then I just cull off the weak ones, and so be it. All right, now I'm moving on to some orange Swiss chard. I was going to do a bunch of chard because you can get these out really early. They're mega frost tolerant, and the cold weather does make them slower, but it also makes them tastier. And I'm putting way too many. But anyway, you can multi-sow these as well. In fact, rather than put more there, I think I'm just going to space these out. These need about a 1/2 inch to get going. And I see a bunch of small ones that I'm going to distribute around in there. And you can get these out super early and multi-sow them, and they come apart great. And it's actually good to grow chard in clumps anyway. So like I might even end up pulling these apart with like 2 or 3 plants together. They grow just fine. And I don't mind multi-sowing like a bunch of them in the same cell. So I'm just going to spread them out, and then I'm going to start doing my old chopstick technique, poking them down a little bit like this. Okay, just spread them out so that it makes like some kind of sense for pulling them apart. And then where's my trusty chopstick? Now these little bad boys are going down. I'm going to use the butt end. See, look, I want to show you again my little measuring stick. There's a 1/4. So that's about a 1/2 inch. I would say that's double that. All right, and we got lots of time. And they've got enough energy to get up from a little bit more than a 1/2 inch, but I wouldn't push it. So let's get those down, and we'll cover those all over in a second. But right now, all these beauty orangies just got to get down. And the nice thing is, with all this extra soil hanging around, if I feel like, there's the odd one that didn't quite get deep enough, I'll just put a little more on there. But again, you don't have to be dogmatic about it, honestly, especially with really hardy big seeds like this, like with chard. They've got lots of energy in there, and they will frickin' pop, dude. They will make their way up if you put them a little bit too deep. And they'll also germinate just fine if you put them a little too shallow, I find. Oh my God, I'm just prepping this tray for the next round of seeds, and look at the size of some of this organic matter. That's a big chunky piece of wood. Now, it's soft. I could probably break that apart and make it usable, but I'm just going to, for time reasons, throw that off to the side, chuck it in the garden later. But like, it really is important. I want to double down on that particular point. Like, when you're starting seeds, get all that big stuff out. It will hold stuff down, man. Absolutely. Look, there's another chunk there I don't want. But you get the idea. Anyway, next is eggplants. Eggplants are a crop that kind of takes forever. People think because they're in that Solanaceae family, the same as tomatoes, that, they go quick. They do not. They take a lot longer in my experience, especially here in Zone 4B. So I'm going to definitely start some eggplants now in the beginning of March. And that seems super early, but trust me, it's not. I started my eggplants late last year. I hardly got any. So give me a second. I'm going to set up, get some tags going, get some seeds out. All right, we're on to eggplants. This is a variety I really like. It's a beautiful eggplant called Rosa Bianca. Okay, I'll be growing some of these that I tried last year. It's a variety called Listata de Gandia. Okay, you can tell these all have real Italian names, and it's a beautiful eggplant also, but I didn't have a lot of luck with these, so I'm starting them even earlier. Like I said, I started them a bit late last year, and then I'm going to start some sort of standard long purple eggplants. I do black beauties usually. I don't know if you're familiar with the black beauty
variety. It's like the standard big giant eggplant. But here's what I figured out over the years. I don't like big giant eggplants. I don't like them enough. I like them kind of small and colorful and kind of fun to look at. But the long purples are going in. These all need about a 1/4 inch. And the seeds are strikingly similar to tomato seeds. Okay, again, we're going to overseed, but not crazy on these. Hopefully, if I don't screw up, I'm going to put 3 or 4 per cell. See how they do. These seeds are a little old, so I'm sort of like hedging my bets here. I'm not sure about germination rate, so I'll get a couple up with that many, and yeah, about a 1/4 inch. So that's marked, right? There's my 1/4 inch right there, and I'm just going to start pushing those in, and I've already sort of removed most of the big gnarly stuff that'll keep these guys down. That guy can go in the corner. It's not following too good. And again, not super worried about accuracy. Now, these seeds compared to the chard or some of the other ones that we've been planting are smaller, okay, like tomato seeds. So you want to pay a little more attention to the accuracy. Again, we're not measuring with scientific instruments here. We don't have to get them exactly a 1/4 inch, but you want to get in the ballpark. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much energy in a small seed like that to pop it up, so you certainly don't want to go too deep. I'd rather go too shallow than too deep with eggplants. Okay, and those are all pretty close. Okay, and we'll just cover those over. Boom, we'll move on to the next variety. Here's those home-saved Rosa Biancas from this year, and let me see. Yeah, they actually look awesome. Now, one could make the argument, and I've had this conversation before with other gardeners on Instagram and even in real life, believe it or not, that, you know, the particular way that I do it, though, overseeding, the amount of overseeding that I do, could be considered by some to be excessive, and that, you know, I might be wasting seeds and stuff. I'm not saying that's not the case, but here's what I can tell you. When you are producing the vast majority of your own seeds, and I do, I save a ton of seeds here, and it's a huge endeavor. I put a ton of time and effort into it every single year. They don't cost me anything, and I have such a surplus every single year, like just in what I save. For good measure, you know, that like I couldn't ever really waste seeds, if you will. I mean, you could also say, yeah, well, you could package them up and sell them, or you could give them to people, and I do seed giveaways on my Instagram all the time. Maybe I'll do a seed giveaway here on YouTube one of these days, but generally this overseeding method is really just a form of insurance, and in gardening, that's what it's all about, especially in zones like mine in 4B here, where the climate is changing and the weather we get is super hit and miss. We never really know what we're getting. Our season is super short, etc. I'd rather just have lots of options right at the beginning in the grow room, you know, call off the weak ones and have lots of options, and then give a bunch away is what I often do to my neighbors and friends and stuff. When I have too many, I'll just pot up some and give them away to neighbors and stuff, and, you know, it's kind of a nice gesture, and I'm making sure that I have enough for myself, for my own garden, and that's really what it's all about. If you're new here, you don't yet know that I grow over 1,000 pounds of food on this property, along with all the food that I hunt, fish, and forage from the wild. So this is really, really important step in my entire year. And now I'm on to these Listada Degandias, and I'm just noticing there really aren't many in this package. So I'm going to do 2 per cell to start. I know they're in there. Come on, Lahomie, where are you? 1, 2, 1, 2. Buckle my... Oh, maybe we're going to get 3 per cell. No, almost. We almost got 3 per cell. Actually, we're going to make 3 per cell if I steal that guy. Boom. And that's still like, you know, plenty of seed. And I'm going to be very careful with these guys. And I see a piece here I maybe don't like. Yeah, I don't like you, dude. Oh, no, you're okay. Put you in the corner. But yeah, 3 per cell is plenty, and I'll be able to make some choices. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that guy sucks. That's out. You're out, buddy. You go down there. You go in the middle. You go over here. And this is a really good example of just spacing on these. So I'll put one in the corner like that, 1/4 inch, one there, 1/4 inch, one there, 1/4 inch. Cover those over and take that little bit out. And they've got lots of room after for me to pull them apart and not damage their little nascent root systems too much. Now, with multi-seeding, it's important to acknowledge that, like, you are going to be damaging their roots to some degree, but if you do it when they're small enough, honestly, they bounce back like little freaking champs, bro. And you don't slow down the growth at all. I find I've never read a study that said anything to the contrary. And I've been, like I said, I've been doing it for a really long time. I would be highly skeptical at the tiny little amount of root damage that you might do to a plant separating it would hold it back in any way in the, you know, in the long term forecast, in the life cycle of that plant. So there you go. There's a bunch of Listada Degandias. Happy to
welcome you to the party, boys. Let's do it. Bang.
And there you have it. That's literally all I have time for tonight. I'm fishing super early in the morning. I'm up and out the door at 6:30 a.m. And a lot of like sort of getting your own garden going from seed is this when you're busy and you've got other stuff going on. It's like just keep picking away at it, man. What I try to do is just make myself come in here no matter what time of night is every single night during like sort of germination season and get something done. Even if it's just a few cells and a tray or two, you know, it all adds up. And a few days difference between them makes no difference at all in the long run in a month's long growing season. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm crashing. I'm literally taking a shower and going to bed. All right, well, it's a couple days later, and I'm finally getting onto a project that I've been planning for a long time, and I'm very excited about. I'm talking about pawpaw trees. These seeds have been cold stratifying in my beer fridge for the better part of like 3.5 months, which is what they require. They need at least 80 to 120 days, not a whole lot more. But anyway, we're right in that zone, and now I'm going to try to start germinating these beautiful pawpaw seeds, some that were given to me by my friend Jordan, and some that were given to me by my buddy Chef Dan. Anyway, let's get these in the kitchen. I'm going to show you how I'm going to go about this. I've got a cool little trick for these so that I don't waste a bunch of time and hopefully get the best results possible. So there's our seeds, and the next thing I need is a container. Check that out. Dirty plastic one. I'm trying not to use these for food anymore. PSA, I'm trying to get all the plastic out of my kitchen, but a lot of these have a useful life left, and I'm going to find other uses for them. And germinating pawpaw seeds is probably about one of the best ones I can think of. Give me a second. Starting off with a bunch of paper towels, so check it out. Just any old sheet of paper towel. These ones happen to come in halves, but that doesn't matter. It just helps me fold it. I'm gonna fold these like this, okay? Can you see that? Is that in frame? See, like that? And I'm gonna start piling them up on the bottom of this container. See, they fit just nice in there. I thought they would. That's beautiful. And I'm gonna put a whole bunch of those, and I'm gonna try and germinate these in a bunch of levels in a real compact little space by wetting these paper towels after I fold a bunch more and just placing those in there now at room temperature. Pawpaw seeds will germinate pretty much anywhere over 60 degrees, 61, 62 is what I've read. And I'm gonna put them in the grow room where it's gonna be quite a bit warmer than that. And then I can just monitor them, keep an eye on them in this thing, and sort of only plant the ones into soil that actually start to develop a little taproot. Now I've got a whole bunch of paper towels folded up like that, and I'm gonna put a few on the bottom like this. Hold on one second, that was kind of a janky one. I want that right on the bottom. Now I'm gonna wet those down. I got a little spray bottle here, and I'm gonna put a whole bunch of water on each of those layers, okay? Something like that. You don't have to go crazy with this. You don't want them soaking wet, but you want moisture in there so the seeds got something to work with and help it break open, etc. That's plenty. Okay, I'm gonna just flip that over. Give it a quick spray on the other side. That looks pretty good. Let's put the dry side up so I can give it one more spray here and then one here. And that's a good little substrate for those seeds to start going. And moment of truth, very exciting. These are the seeds that were given to me by my friend Jordan. So I'm gonna start laying those down on there. These come from Forbes Wild Foods, I believe. So shout out to Forbes Wild Foods, purveyor of many ethically sourced, wild harvested goodies and yum nums that if you're not a forager and you don't have a means to get out and do so, you could probably purchase from them. I'll try to remember to stick a link down in the description. But anyway, that's, I think, where these seeds came from, and I'm gonna put a whole shit whack of them on the bottom. And that's a technical term right there, shit whack of them, okay? Like this. Give them a little room, you know, but you know what? I can pack these even a little tighter. Okay, there's one layer there. I'll even put one on the side, two on the side, like this, and then I'm gonna give those guys a quick spray down, make sure they got something to work with, and then our next layer is going in. So here's one paper towel, okay? Here's two paper towels. I'm even gonna put maybe 3 paper towels in that little bad boy, okay? And we'll soak those down. Actually, I should have wet them one at a time. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to re-peel those out while I still can. Let's do the bottom of that guy. Okay, we'll pull this guy out because I screwed up, but you get the idea. We want some water for these little seeds to work with. Okay, I'm gonna put that one upside down. Check it out. Now that real wet one's on the bottom. Should be good, but not soaking, okay? Just nice, nice. Okay, a little bit like that, a little bit like this. And here's round number 2 of those seeds from Jordan.
lay out some of those, and I'm going to hold a few back. I'm going to try direct sowing a few of these too, and some are bigger than others, and etc. I'll probably save some nice big fatties for direct sowing, and just see if that works out. I'm going to try and put a bunch of these on the property. And here's the truth about these. I should let you know while I'm doing this little project, I don't even know that pawpaw will grow here. I'm actually well north of their native range. My gamble here is that with climate change, they're going to start being viable in my area. So I've heard of others almost as far north as me successfully growing pawpaw, like within an hour of here. So who knows, with climate change, by the time I get this project going, get the things going, and get actual trees happening that could make fruits, maybe the climate's already changed enough that these guys will make it over a winter and actually start to bear fruit down the road. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? There's 2 levels. I'm going to hold a bunch of these back, and then I'm going to not screw this up. I'm going to put a little bit of water there. I'm going to put a little bit of water there and do this correctly in the right order, my little friend. Okay, like that. There's 2, right? Is that correct? That's 2. Yeah, that looks good. And here's the 3rd one. Ready up, buddy? Am I right? Hold on. Bear with me. It's all going good. Okay, some of that. Wet side down. Bang. Some of these. There's 3 for those little guys. And now here's the seeds that I got from my friend Chef Dan that you may have just seen in this video, or I don't know if I'm going to drop it in or do a separate video just about the pawpaw, planting these pawpaws and getting them germinating. But I believe they came from the same source, and these were right out of fruits. I took these out of fruits. Like I said, you might have just seen that. I don't know how I'm going to cut this. Or if you didn't, these came right out of fruits. I ate these fruits, and I saved the seeds from them. So really looking forward to doing this layer because I ate these exact ones, and I know these fruits are not only sweet and delicious and good, but obviously the trees that they came from were viable and are making some nice fruit. So, I don't know if I'm prioritizing those or not. I think they're probably all the same and probably from the same source. I'm pretty sure Chef Dan buys his pawpaw from Forbes Wild Foods, as far as I know. So I'll have to ask him about that. So these could be literally from the exact same stock. Who knows? Very probable, but I've seen these ones and it's like kind of exciting. So I'm going to put a bunch of these in. There you go. There's a layer from the ones from Chef Dan. And now this could take, I would think the fastest this would be like a couple weeks or 3 weeks, and they can take months to germinate. So who really knows? I hope I'm doing this, correctly and in the right time frame. It is right now the 2nd or 3rd of March. And I'm hoping within a month or so to be able to get a little taproot, hopefully see some growth, get these into soil and be able to get them out in the spring. And if I don't get them out by the spring, I'm going to keep them in pots until, September or so, and then put them in the ground. Everything I've read says that, they will not take the summer sun too well in their first year of growth when they're little. And just putting on nascent leaves. And excuse me, I'm just making a few more layers of moist towelettes. For this last layer here while we're talking. So yeah, they may end up sitting in pots over the summer in a nice semi-shaded area, and then I'll put them in. But my hope is that I get a few up and I get a little bit of growth and I can get these in the spring when the ground just starts to be workable. And that's the move. I am gonna throw that lid on. Check that out. Done. Oh, and I was in your light the whole time. Sorry about that. But now I have a way of venting these. See with this little button there, I can let a little air into that. Okay, I can regulate that. I can add water. I can let some water out, let some airflow happen. I think airflow is a good idea whenever you're germinating seeds. And this just going to sit in the grow room. Let's head over there. And there those bad boys are, just sitting in the grow room, in the nice, warm, temperature-controlled grow room. This light here is just for a little warmth. These things are going to move around. I'll put them wherever I can fit them. Really, this whole room is pretty warm. These seeds don't require light to germinate whatsoever. That's just for a little heat. And we'll keep an eye on it. But this is probably the most exciting gardening project of the year for me. So I'm like super stoked. And while I got a few moments dedicated to grow room activities here, I'm going to be starting some Romanesco cauliflower. You saw me grow my first successful ones last season, but I think I can do even better this year. These take forever to grow, and some purple sprouting broccoli, which also takes a really, really long time to flower up and give you a head. So while it's like
Right now in early March is way too early for a lot of brassicas. It's not all of them. Right now you want to be planting the early brassicas that can get out and that are cold tolerant, that you can get right out as soon as the soil is workable. And also brassicas like this that take forever and ever. These are, I think, over 120 days. I can't remember. At least I think those are almost 100 days, if not more. And the purple, look at this, purple sprouting broccoli, 150 days. So yeah, I'm going to get on these right now in March and hopefully be able to get some of this.
All right, now I got a tray all set up. As you can see, I just took a little minute to make some labels. Organization is key, especially when they're like so packed together at this stage of the game in the grow room. So I'm doing some long brassicas, the Romanesco cauliflowers, the purple sprouting broccoli. I'm going to get some rosemary going. Now is the time. It's kind of almost cutoff time for woody herbs, getting really close to that. So I'm just going to start some rosemary. You've got time for basil. You've got time for a lot of other things, but anything that's got like a woody stem, you'd want to get those going. Here's some early brassicas. Check these out. This is Pak Choi Home Save Seed. These will go out early. They'll take a frost, as will Swiss chard. Okay, bright lights. So from Ontario Seed Company, buy Canadian. We're in a whole trade war right now, guys. Don't be ordering seeds offline from American companies right now. Everything you see here is either home saved or from a Canadian company. I just want to put that point out there, not to get all political or anything, but like it's just a good practice anyway. But these Swiss chard, these will take a frost and do very well in the early spring as well. And I've already started some orange chard. This is like bright lights. These are standard sort of multicolor ones. They're beautiful. I'll get some of those going and I'll get those out as soon as the snow's off the ground, really. So give me a second. I got my trusty chopstick marked out and all the depths I need, right? 1/8 and 1/4. Pretty much all of these are 1/4. As far as I can remember, these chard might be a little deeper. I'll have to just check the package and check the package if you're not sure. Give me a second. Let's go. So because they're closest, I'm going to start these rosemary seeds right here. They're already out of the, I'm going to get this and this out of the way and then I can work on that back row. But that's already labeled and there's a, oh, hey, there's a convenient little package inside the package, keeping them nice and fresh. I bought these last year and I did get a few up. Rosemary's hard to germinate to start with. Oh, there's not that many. Rosemary is one you can always get at a nursery. People, tend to buy starts with these, and I've bought starts many, many times with rosemary, but if I can do it for pennies on the dollar, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to use that whole little pack. I'll overseed these. I don't give any shits. Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Right there. Okay, there's a bunch. And it's good to grow these in clumps anyway, even if you don't get them all separated. But, tis my way. I like to overseed and, get the best ones out. And I've already sort of taken the biggest, gnarliest bits off that. Now I'm going to push those down roughly 1/4 inch. They can be a little less, honestly, in my experience with rosemary. You just want to make sure they stay moist is the thing. If you put them too high up, and this goes for all seeds, you put them too high up in the soil, they're not going to stay moist for the entire time that they need to be germinating. So we're just going to, as is my way, push those down sort of roughly 1/4 inch and cover them over. Just to be sure, I'm going to grab some of this soil from one of these broke. Okay, so I'm not using that one because it's just going to be a pain in the ass, especially when I'm hardening things off later and they're coming in and out. And I'll wet that down a little bit on the top just to make sure I have everything I need, no big chunks, etc. And hopefully that'll help these guys out because I don't know if I got them all down to that 1/4 inch. Okay, let's do that. All right, I've got a little bit of warm-ish, like sort of lukewarm at most, tap water that I'm going to moisten that with, standing by, and there's a piece I don't want of wood or something right there. And this is a great little trick to help speed up your germination. If you're in a nice warm room like this, it doesn't really matter, but like sun warmed is the temperature you want. Okay, it's not hot by any means, but you give it a little tiny bit of heat on there, and that can go a long way to helping to warm up your soil and getting them up quicker. All right, let's move on. Now let's multi-sow these Pak Choi, man. I love Pak Choi. I love all the packs. I love all the choys. The box, the packs, the whatever the third one is there. I've grown it before. And I'm just going to start busting these seed pods apart. And I hope you can see on camera all of those seeds coming out of there. I'll zoom in on it for you in a second. But yeah, let me do that. Tell you what, I'm going to bust a few of these in, and I'll show you all the seeds that are coming out because they're so tiny, they're hard to see probably for you. But there's a ton of them in there. Hold on. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of little Pak Choi seeds. Watch when I bust this thing open, man. You're going to see all kind of little dudes come out. You see them coming out? Little seedy seeds. Hey, buddy. And you're getting some chaff off there too as well, but look at all the seeds. I hope you guys can see some of those. We're going to put a lot in here. I really am a big proponent of multi-sowing these two. They pull apart really good. They've got pretty tough little roots, all things considered. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dig down in the bottom of the bag, and I bet, yeah, there's a ton just down in the bottom here. I don't even know if that's on camera. I'm so zoomed in, but down here I've got a ton of seeds that have fallen out of the little husks. Give me 1 second. So check this out. Look at all those seeds at the bottom. We're going to multi-sow a shit ton of those. Those are also going down somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 inch. Okay, I'm going to drop some down. And there's all kinds in there. Let me muss them up. And don't worry about these little bit of husks in nature won't hold those down. They're certainly not going to do it in your grow room. Now I'm just trying to spread those out, push them down a little. Okay, some of these, some of those. There's a bunch all clumped up there. Not that it really matters, but I'd like to separate them a bit. Makes it a little easier to pull them apart later. Okay, these guys are all clumped up over here. Let's put some of those down this side, my little friend. Okay, like that, like this, and like that, y'all. All right, some of that, bang. Okay, that looks pretty good, dude. Let's see how we did on push downs. I think they look okay. And you know what? These are maybe, I'm just looking at the package here. These are maybe not from last year. They might be from the year before. So I'm not sure about what the kind of germination rates that I'm going to get. So check out this trick. I'm going to reseed. Now that I've got a bunch of crags and holes in here, I'm just going to drop some insurance ones in. Okay. And that'll go a long way to making sure I get a bunch of these little shits up. Okay. Pack that over. See what I did there? Pack that over. I don't even have kids and I'm making dad jokes. Come on. Okay, got this. Bang, bang, bang. And I'm going to throw a little soil on top because I'm not doing a great job of pushing them down today, it appears. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's a big old chunk of something I don't want. This guy. Okay, and that should be plenty. Just that little bit on top. You wouldn't believe how much extra moisture that holds in. There's a big chunk there. It goes a long way. So, you know, take that extra second to just throw a little on top. Right? Bob's your uncle. Robert's your mother's brother. There you go. Pre-moistened, of course, as always. You can tell when I push down on it. You see all that water around my finger? That means you've done something correctly. We're good. Let's move on. Let's get to these guys up here. All right, I'm just cleaning out some bigger pieces of organic matter out of here, and we're moving on to the Romanesco cauliflower. Now, I've had a love-hate relationship with the Romanesco. The first 2 years that I attempted growing it, I just could not get it to head up and make a flower. These things take forever, despite what it says on the package, to actually complete their life cycle. And I have a very, very short growing season. As you know, if you're in 4B or below here in Canada, we've got 3 months, man, to work with. Now, with climate change, that's bumped out a little. I actually got lucky. The heads I finally got last season were because we had a warm October. That's really what happened, if I'm being honest. But I'm starting these early. I'm starting these a good 3 weeks to a month earlier than I did last year. Okay. Romanesco, look at that beautiful thing. Tell me you don't want to eat that. If I remember, I'll drop in some footage of the ones I grew last year. And again, I'm going to hedge my bets here. I'm going to put a few per cell. I'm talking like 5 or 6, actually. That's probably too many. I'm going to move some out of that other one. Let's see if we can't get some nice, big, juicy Romanesco heads going this year. And I'll tell you the other nice thing about overseeding, even with, you know, ones that I've bought like this, which were relatively expensive, to be honest with you, is that not only do you get to pick the best genetic stock out of it, you also, you know, you get that insurance, right? It's like, if some aren't planted at the right depth, or they go a little too deep and they don't make it up, or some are too shallow and they dry out, or whatever, you have lots of extra sitting there that are gonna go and give you something in that cell, right? Rather than wasting the space. And in the grow room at this time of year, it's all about space management. You're gonna see once I start getting my tomatoes going, like there's tons of room right now, but I'm gonna have trays and trays and trays of tomatoes. I average about 80 tomato plants a year because I make a lot of products with them here on the old homestead. And you know what I mean? It's like space is at a premium, dude. You got to get the most out of every single cell that you're planting, and I just like having that insurance, man. Let's move on. I like how that's looking. I like everything about it. Okay, purple sprouting broccoli. 150 days on these sons of bitches, all right? That's a lot of time. I don't have a 150-day growing season. I got to get ahead of it right now in March so that I get any chance of these little shits actually making a flower and heading up, okay? I'm putting way too many again, but that's okay. Older seed again. Don't mind, all right? Let's push those ones down too. These, oh, and there's a big chunk of something there. Look at that. That's no good whatsoever. We don't want that. That'll hold down a plant all day. Okay, a little baby. We don't want that. We want these guys a 1/4 inch down. Okay, you little shits. There we go. Some of these out here, some of these out in here, some in the center, some out here, some in that corner. Oh, that one went too far, but that's okay. See, I got insurance. I just pushed one down too far. Maybe it'll come up like a month late. That can happen, like weeks late. Okay, and then that one's fucked anyway. No one cares. Okay, got lots of other options. And there you go. Purple sprouting broccoli. Check. All I got to do is jam this chart in over here, and we're rocking. See this stuff right there? Oh, yeah. That's going in right there. And now for the last little group of cells that I got to do here. There's 4. I'm doing that chart, and chart does go a little deeper. It's a little deeper than 1/4 inch. You can get away with a 1/4 inch, but I wouldn't recommend it. These are bigger seeds, and that, like I was telling you earlier, I'll put the whole pack in. I don't care. Oh, no, that's crazy. Hold on. I just went too far. And you guys are getting a super long zoom. My apologies for that. I went a little bit crazy. Yeah, I've gone nuts in here, but that's okay. You should go nuts in life sometimes, I feel. That's lots, okay? That's a ton of freaking chard to get started. Now we're going to push those down pretty deep. Like I was saying before I got distracted with my own shenanigans here, you want to put a lot of soil on top of these. These are bigger seeds, potentially multis, each single one of these seeds. And yeah, so roughly a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to break these apart. I got way too many in here, I think, dude. But you know what? I got a whole other pack of them. I've got lots of time. I'm starting them super early, earlier than I did for the last few years that I can think of. But, with climate change, I'm trying to get ahead of conditions that may arise that will allow me to grow more food. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it seems crazy early for some of even these early ones that'll take a frost, etc. But who knows, man? Mother Nature could turn on us and give us freaking spring-like weather in the end of March or April. Like, I don't see it this year. This year's been really cold. But you never know. I've said that other years, and sure enough, there was no snow on the ground by April, which, end of March. And, that's kind of crazy, man. For my neck of the woods, man, when I was a kid, we used to have snow on the ground out until May, sometimes even June. Like I can remember times when I was a kid where we had snow on the ground in the first week of June. I'm going to put a bunch of soil in this. I want to get that out of there, dude. And I don't mind if these take a little longer to come out. Basically, we're going to do that. I'm going to put a little of that nice tap warm water on there. And these are going to go like frickin' snot, and there's tons of them. So, these guys get a little aguamente. Hey caramba. And there you have it. Tray number 2 completed with a whole bunch of nice stuff. I'm going to get a lid on that. I'm going to put it back up in this nice warm spot under these lights here, along with my peppers that are going great. Hey, I want to give you a little sneak peek look in just a few days. Oh, you wouldn't even believe this. We got a couple of little peppers starting, buddy. I can't zoom because I'm holding that, but I'm going to try and show you. 1 second. Look, we got a couple little peppers already starting in there. They're so cute. Look at them. There's 2 right there. And I saw a couple over there. There's one there. Look at that little guy in there. Hey, buddy, what you doing? Yeah, right? So anyway, let me get that top back on, keep that moisture in. But I'm done for the night. I'm up early fishing. I'm out the door at 6:30. And hey, quick last thing I want to mention about starting seeds and germination in general is when you have pre-moistened soil like this, I will not generally, I just wanted to show you those little peppers in here. I won't generally take these tops off, or this one that I just finished now, until I start to see plants sprouting, because they don't get watered again. That pre-moistened soil is the whole point. It helps that seed to soften up and to let the germ pop, etc. And it's all the water and then some that they need to get started. So it's only if I see a problem of something drying out that I'll lift the top and actually put a little water. But this tray that I just finished today, for example, may not get water again for a week or 2 until everything germinates.
And just before I duck out and head to a shower and my sweet pillow, I want to show you that it's almost time for flowers. Look, I've got a ton of home safe calendula. It's not quite time for those. Nasturtiums, these are store-bought, but I have somewhere in here, I've got like a box of home safe nasturtiums. I've got native wildflowers. I got black eyed Susans. Excuse me, also native. Valerian, chamomile, bachelor's button. And it is time for a number of different flowers. I tend to not worry too much about them other than marigolds, which I will be starting very, very soon. I use a lot of marigolds in my garden. It's almost time for those. They're going to be going soon. But calendula self-seeds in my garden, nasturtium self-seeds. I have so much borage that self-seeds in my garden. I never have to plant it anymore, etc. But pretty soon in the next week or two would be time to start thinking about some of those too. If you are a first-time gardener and trying to get something started in your own grow room, start thinking flowers too. I'm mostly working on food right now, and I don't have to put a lot into flowers anymore because I grow a ton of varieties and have been for years that just sort of readily self-seed and do super well in my garden. But you might need to start some now. And hey, before I go, at the very end of this video, I want to give you one last really good practical tip. I showed you that I'm using a heat mat to germinate all these peppers, okay, and those eggplants that are in there. And I had put the other trays there, but I always do this. I've done this for years, and I forgot to mention it. Depends on the seed type, okay? So let's put that caveat out there. But there are many, many, many types, including all these brassicas in there and these onions, etc., who could use a little heat bump. They don't need it, but they'll just go faster if they get it. And you can use stuff like this. You see these old school fluorescent lights that I still use to this day for a lot of germination tasks and just sort of general grow room light. You can use the heat that's being produced by the little transformer in there and by those bulbs even, believe it or not, create a little bit of heat and throw those trays up on top to speed up germination. I put my onions up there. I put all those brassicas and a couple of herbs up there. And that's enough heat to get them going a little bit quicker since I started late. And this is just like a great general use tip. You don't have to buy expensive equipment, you know, heat mats with like temperature regulation and all this stuff. You might have a space just above your fridge where you could fit a seed tray or two. You might have some old school fluorescent lights or another place that produces a little bit of heat. You know, maybe by a register if you're not gonna, you know, take all the humidity out of it and you've got a dome on it. But just think of places in your house, maybe even if you don't have a dedicated grow room like this, where you could, you know, get a little bit of extra heat, bring up that soil temperature a little bit and get going quicker if you're running late and you need that time. And I really do this year. So I just wanted to show you that. These old fluorescent lights, and I've got banks of them. I don't know if you can see in there. I've got 2 banks of them in there, are often just covered with trays while I'm germinating, and then they go under when the seeds need the light. So anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that. Cheers.
And hey, there's the end of my very first how-to seed starting and grow room video here on YouTube. There's years worth of these over on my Instagram, but I'm going to be doing them all over here on YouTube now. So subscribe if you're a home gardener that's looking to improve your game, or if you're an aspiring gardener just getting started, because there's a ton of gardening content coming down the pipe on this channel. So stay tuned, hit the bell icon for notifications, and maybe share this video with a friend who wants to start a new garden. Thanks for hanging out all the way to the end, and thanks for watching. See you next week.